Norristown's not closing. Norristown is becoming what everybody has said is the huge need, which is forensic beds.
It is a fact that people with mental illness get arrested. So statewide and nationally, there's been a big push to reduce the number of people with serious mental illness in prisons.
We have individuals sitting in jails with mental illness that are not getting the treatment they need today, and not in as timely a fashion as we want. This has been an issue around for years. When we have a state hospital that doesn't have room for them, that becomes a challenge. It's a big deal to close a facility and move people into the community. We know it's the best thing for most people and what most people want, but it sometimes still has challenges.
Families are simply scared and concerned that their loved one not come into the community and then have things really fall apart. It's a valid concern.
The biggest challenge I think we have is developing those community placements and the time it takes to do that. We had hoped to have Norristown State Hospital on the civil side closed, I think last year was our goal.
This particular closure has been slow, and it really does allow the counties to identify what is needed and then to develop it. And sometimes that takes longer because they might have to buy a building, they might have to renovate a building. There are a lot of things that go into that. But by the time everybody leaves the civil unit of Norristown State Hospital, there should be programming in place to meet that person's needs.
There's what I call a continuum of residential services. We have some that are what I call very restrictive and very treatment focused. We have a long-term structured residence. And then we have community residential programs or group homes that are staffed, some of them 24 hours, some of them are staffed maybe only 16 hours. And then we have personal care homes that are a bridge between people who need medical care in addition to psychiatric care.
How you doing, Barry?
All right.
Doing pretty good?
Yeah.
Yeah, good, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, okay. Be right back.
All right.
They look new. You must have them cleaned or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you're looking good, yeah. This was a major improvement, just the lifestyle they have here. This is more like home. I mean, they have their own rooms. I'm glad he's here and not where he was, because that was not very livable, so to speak, and they were treated like a prisoner, really. Dad loves you, okay?
All right.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye.
Okay. I worry when I'm dead. Where? Who's gonna look after me? Okay. I'm sorry.
We usually have somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 people waiting for residential services in all different types. Part of our system is dependent on people getting better and moving through the system. As I say in our residential continuum, no one goes in until someone goes out, because it's fixed beds. Because of a pretty much lack of funding, we haven't really done much community expansion in the last 10 years.
I look at it as a tripod. There is the county-based dollars. Those are state dollars that are allocated every year. Then there's the state hospital dollars. So when a state hospital closes, or even when beds close, and a percentage of those dollars come into the community. And then you have Medicaid. And Medicaid is the big bucket. The dollars that came as a result of either a hospital closing or a bed closing. I don't think they've ever had a cost of living adjustment attached to those dollars. And the community-based dollars, those haven't had a cost of living in a long, long time. In the long run, it stretches the county way too thin.
From a funding perspective, our system took a 10% decrease in the sort of state county funded system, 10% decrease about 8 years ago, and it's been flat funded ever since. So we're trying to operate essentially on early 2000 funding level in 2019. And so that creates some gaps in services, it creates gaps in quality. Staff recruitment and retention for all of our providers is an issue. Maintaining a quality trained workforce is an issue. Given our current sort of average waiting list of 50, I'd like to have 50 more beds of one kind or another. We've been consistently asking for at least a restoration of the 10% cut we had. In a perfect world, we'd be adjusting that for inflation. I mean, I feel like a 20% increase is about what we need at this point, but given that we haven't had any, 10% would be better than nothing.
It's one thing to have the will to close an institution. It's another thing to have the will to support someone in the community. Removing people from institutions is not the end, it's just the beginning of another process. And it's one that requires enormous public will, enormous financial commitment, and enormous human compassion.